Imagine it's 1918. You're walking home from work in the dead of night, but you don't need a street lamp to see in the dark. Your clothes, your hair, even your skin, it's all glowing with this brilliant, beautiful blue-green light. When you walk through town, people stop and stare. They call you and your friends the Ghost Girls. And honestly, it feels glamorous. You feel like magic, but you're not magic. You're a 19-year-old working-class girl, an immigrant's daughter just trying to survive. So why are you letting yourself be covered in this strange, glowing dust? Because of the money. You just landed the job of a lifetime at the US Radium Corporation, and they are paying you an insane $25 a week. That puts you in the top 5% of female earners in the whole country. You are making more money than your father. The work is simple. You paint tiny glowing numbers onto the dials of military watches. The soldiers in the muddy trenches of World War I need to be able to tell time in the pitch black, and your glowing paint is helping them do it. You think you've won the lottery? You think you're living the American dream? But you're not. You've just walked into a death trap. You sit down at your desk. In front of you is a tray of tiny watch dials, a little crucible of glowing radium powder, and a delicate camel hair brush. You paint a number, but after just a stroke or two, the bristles fan out. The brush loses its shape. The numbers on these military watches are incredibly small, so you need a razor-sharp tip. Your floor manager walks by and gives you a simple, terrifying instruction. Lip, dip, paint. You bring the brush to your lips, twirl it in your mouth to make a fine point, dip it into the glowing paint, and hit the dial. Lip, dip, paint. You do this over and over and over again, up to 1,500 times a day. Now, maybe you're thinking, why wouldn't you just use a wet rag to point the brush? Because you're paid by the piece. Every single second counts. Wiping a brush on a rag slows you down, and worse, it wastes the wildly expensive radium powder. If you fall behind quota, you lose that life-changing salary. You simply can't afford to stop. Some of the girls ask the bosses if swallowing this glowing dust is actually safe. The managers just laugh. They tell you it'll put a bounce in your step. They say it's a health tonic that will give you rosy cheeks. And honestly, you believe them. Right now, radium is being sold everywhere as a miracle cure, in toothpaste, in drinking water, even in cosmetics. But here is the dark, sickening twist. While you are literally eating this stuff, the men who run the company, the male scientists mixing the raw radium in the lab down the hall, they aren't touching it. They are hiding behind massive, heavy lead shields. They are handling the glowing powder with long, heavy metal tongs. They know exactly what this stuff does to the human body, and they are letting you eat it anyway. A few years pass, the money is still good, but then it starts. Just a dull ache in your jaw. You figure it's a bad tooth, right? You go to the dentist. He pulls it, but the hole won't heal. Your gums just keep bleeding. It doesn't make any sense. And then the true nightmare begins. The pain becomes unbearable, so you go back. The dentist reaches into your mouth to pull another rotting tooth, and a massive piece of your jawbone just comes out with it. Here is the terrifying science behind what is happening to you. Chemically, radium acts almost exactly like calcium. So every single day when you swallowed that glowing paint, your body thought, great, we're building strong bones. It took that radioactive poison and fused it directly into your skeleton. But it wasn't building bone. It was drilling millions of microscopic holes into it. From the inside out, your bones now look like moth-eaten honeycombs. They're literally crumbling inside your body. They're shattering when you just try to walk across the room. You realize you're dying. The other ghost girls are dying too. So, you band together and you try to sue the company. You just want them to pay your medical bills. But what does a multi-million-dollar corporation do when they get caught? They fight dirty. They hire fake doctors to examine you. And then, they release statements to the press claiming you aren't sick from radium at all. To avoid paying you a single dime, They publicly misdiagnose you and your dying friends with syphilis. They launch a smear campaign to ruin your reputation, branding you as a promiscuous woman just to protect their bottom line. By the time you finally get your day in court, it's almost too late. You are so weak, so broken, that when they ask you to swear in, you can't even lift your right arm to take the oath. You are sitting in the courtroom wearing a heavy steel brace, just to keep your spine from collapsing. You know you're going to die. You know a settlement won't save you, but you fight anyway. You fight so that no other worker ever has to suffer like this. And your agonizing fight, it actually changes the world. Decades later, when the government is building the atomic bomb during the Manhattan Project, the scientists know exactly how to handle radioactive materials safely. How? Because of the autopsies performed on the ghost girls. Your tragedy single-handedly forces the creation of modern workplace safety laws. OSHA exists, in large part because of what happened to you. By dying, you saved millions of lives. But here's the most chilling part of this whole story. It's been over 100 years since you painted those tiny, glowing numbers. You are buried in a quiet cemetery in New Jersey. But radium has a half-life of 1,600 years, which means if someone walks over your grave tonight with a Geiger counter, it will click furiously, because beneath the dirt, you are still glowing in the dark.